Good evening and welcome to 100 Nights of Taps Gettysburg 2026, our 10th year of 100 Nights of Taps Gettysburg on this fairly beautiful evening of June 20th, 2026. My name's Scott Burkett. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Lincoln Fellowship of Pennsylvania. 100 Nights of Taps Gettysburg 2026 is sponsored by the Lincoln Fellowship of Pennsylvania, the Gettysburg National Military Park, and the Eisenhower National Historic Site. It is with great pleasure that I introduce this evening one of the friends of our program, Dr. Tom Rudolph, tonight's bugler. With Tom is his wife, Carol, and all of our buglers pay their own expenses. That helps us greatly in putting on this program. Please welcome Dr. Tom Rudolph. This evening we walked through this beautiful national cemetery guided by pathways that brought us here to the Soldiers' National Monument. While walking along the pathways, you were surrounded by the graves of the fallen heroes, their enduring stories of sacrifice, sorrow, as well as extraordinary bravery. Those same pathways converge here to the place where in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address, considered one of the greatest speeches of all time. Gettysburg National Cemetery's pathways are America's enduring pathways that guide us to our history. And in enduring pathways, what we call our brief history segment, and we're going to talk a bit about the history of the bugle call you're going to hear in just a few moments. Of all the military calls, none so easily recognized are more apt to evoke emotion than taps. The melody is both eloquent and haunting for many of us. Listening to taps can elicit powerful emotions and memories. Taps begins on its strongest notes, slowly diminishes in volume, and sounds increasingly distant as the notes become more progressively subdued. It's a contemplative call that steadily fades but deepens in reflection until it reaches its final note of resignation. Although the exact origin of taps is clouded in controversy and mythology, it's most likely begun as a revision of the earlier bugle call referred to as Scott Tattoo, extinguished lights, a signal for the end of the day. Armies had used tattoo to signal troops to prepare for their bedtime roll call. Major General Daniel Butterfield, Army of the Potomac, disliked tattoo. He thought the call was too formal to signal the day's end. So in July 1862, he sought the help of his brigade bugler, 22-year-old Private Oliver Wilcox Norton, in composing a new bugle call for the troops. With the help of Private Norton, General Butterfield took the last 5.5 measures of tattoo and revised them into 24 notes we know today as taps. This was done to honor his troops while in camp at Harrison's Landing, Virginia, following the 7 days battles during the Peninsula Campaign. Why was this new bugle call called taps? Well, the name probably comes from 3 drum taps that were beat after extinguished lights. The drum beat that followed was commonly referred to as taps by the soldiers. After the new bugle call was created to replace the more formal tattoo, which ended with drum taps, it simply became known as taps. Taps was later sounded at a military funeral for a Union soldier killed in action. The deceased soldier's commanding officer believed that a bugle call would be less risky than the traditional 3-shot volley, which the enemy might misconstrue as being an attack. The new call spread soon to other units in the Union Army and was also used by the Confederates. Taps was made the official bugle call after the Civil War. Beginning in 1891, the playing of taps became standard at military funerals. Today, taps is sounded as the final call every evening on military installations and at military funerals, and of course here at 100 Nights of Taps. In 2012, Congress recognized taps as a national song of remembrance. General Butterfield died in 1901. His tomb was the most ornate in the cemetery at West Point, despite the fact that he never attended West Point. There's also a monument to Butterfield in New York City near Grant's tomb. There's nothing on either monument that mentions taps or the General's association with the call. Taps was sounded at his funeral. At this point, I'd like to introduce the 100 Knights of Taps team that's here every night from Memorial Day to Labor Day. We'll begin with the young lady who made this all possible, the creator of 100 Knights of Taps Gettysburg, Wendy Allen. We are fortunate this evening to have a ranger from the Eisenhower National Historic Site with us. John Tuscan is also a valued member of the 100 Knights of Taps team. And once again, I would like to introduce our bugler, Dr. Tom Rudolph. Dr. Rudolph graduated with a degree in music performance and music education from the University of the Arts in 1977. He earned his Master's of Music degree from Westchester University and a doctorate degree at Widener University in adult learning. As a trumpet player, he's performed for more than 40 years in commercial and classical music venues. Tom's been a Civil War reenactor since 2002 and is the former bugler for the 17th PA Cavalry Company E. He's participated in many reenactments and living history events in Gettysburg, Antietam, Manassas, and others. Please welcome once again our bugler, Dr. Tom Rudolph. We meet here in Gettysburg National Cemetery so that we shall never forget our brave American veterans. We remain steadfast in our dedication to the great unfinished work which those who fought here as well as in many foreign lands so nobly advanced. And we honor that they gave the last full measure of devotion so that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. In keeping with the tradition begun 7 years ago, every evening during 100 Nights of Taps, we honor a soldier buried here in Soldiers National Cemetery. That soldier represents all of those service members whose final resting place is here in the Gettysburg National Cemetery. This year, we're honoring Second Lieutenant Sumner Paine of the 20th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry Regiment. We placed his image on this year's commemorative coin. Ranger John is showing you a blow-up of what the coin that we present our buglers looks like. Let me tell you about Lieutenant Sumner Paine. He was born on May 10, 1845 in Boston, Massachusetts, into a distinguished family. His lineage connected him directly to the American Revolution. He was a great-grandson of Robert Treat Paine, a Revolutionary War patriot and signer of the Declaration of Independence. Paine grew up among 9 siblings, raised in an environment valued both scholarship and patriotism. He entered Harvard College in July 1861. While in college and as the war progressed, he felt a strong pull to defend the Union. In May 1863, he joined the 20th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry Regiment, known as the Harvard Regiment because of its unusually high number of college-educated officers. The commander of the 20th Mass, by the way, was Colonel Paul Joseph Revere, grandson of the famed Revolutionary War patriot Paul Revere. Unfortunately, Colonel Revere was mortally wounded here in Gettysburg on July 2nd, 1863, and he died on the 4th of July. Back to Lieutenant Paine, he received his commission as Second Lieutenant in Company A, making him one of the youngest officers in the unit. Despite his youth, Paine quickly proved himself capable and courageous. He wrote many letters home describing the hardships of marching, the chaos of battle, and the camaraderie among the unit's young officers. By the summer of 1863, the 20th Mass had earned a reputation for fierce fighting and heavy losses. Here at Gettysburg on Cemetery Ridge, the regiment held a crucial position near the copse of trees at the center of the Union line, which is right down here, ground that would become the focal point of Pickett's charge on July 3rd. When Confederate forces broke through parts of the Union line, the 20th Mass was brought forward to help seal the breach. During this desperate counterattack, Lieutenant Paine was struck and mortally wounded. According to a fellow officer, it was in the thickest of the fight in front of his men that Lieutenant Paine was struck by a ball which broke his leg. Falling on his knee, he waved his sword and urged his men on, and was at that moment struck by a shell which caused instant death. His last words were, "Isn't this glorious?" His body was found close to a fence where the rebels made their last desperate stand. After serving his country for 2 months, on July 3rd, 1863, his service to his country was done. At the age of 18, he became the youngest Harvard student to be killed in the war and the youngest commissioned officer to be killed here at Gettysburg. He's interred here in the Soldiers National Cemetery, Grave 1, Section E, in the Massachusetts plot. We've placed a small flag at his grave site. You're welcome to take a moment to pay your respects following tonight's presentation. Awesome job as always, sir. We sound taps here every evening at 7 p.m. right through Labor Day. We hope you'll be able to join us again. And this November 18th through 19th, Gettysburg will invite America to step back in time. In honor of the nation's 250th anniversary, Gettysburg will be host to Lincoln at Gettysburg, an immersive multi-day recreation of President Lincoln's historic visit and delivery of the Gettysburg Address. The event's co-sponsored by the Lincoln Fellowship of Pennsylvania and the Gettysburg National Military Park. The commemoration begins November 16th and 17th with educational programs, living history presentations, and interactive experiences throughout Lincoln Square. On November 18th, President Lincoln will arrive in Gettysburg by steam locomotive and be welcomed by the community while visitors can tour the historic David Wills house where Lincoln stayed here in Gettysburg. Then on November 19th, the presidential procession will escort President Lincoln from Lincoln Square to Soldiers National Cemetery right near here for a dramatic recreation of the dedication ceremony culminating in the delivery of the Gettysburg Address. We hope you'll be able to join us for this once-in-a-generation event as Gettysburg honors the past and inspires the future. All events are free and open to the public. And to conclude this evening's program, I would like to invite all active duty military retirees, veterans, members of the National Guard, members of Gold Star and Blue Star families to please step forward, join our bugler, and be recognized for your service.